What is up, DTube Steam blockchain? So today I want to talk about a tweet that I saw, and it was on Twitter, and I'm gonna read it for you. So it is from Jan Pritzker on Twitter under the Twitter username at SKWP. And the tweet was about only Bitcoin. So the tweet said, PayPal CEO, only Bitcoin. Twitter/Square CEO, only Bitcoin. Nobody that matters, only your favorite altcoin. Bitcoin maximalism isn't a philosophy; it's a recognition of reality. Okay, so let's go over this pretty quick. So the first thing he says is that the only thing that matters is basically Bitcoin, and that there is nobody in something else that is doing anything. Nobody else, if they don't talk about Bitcoin, they don't matter basically. So let's look at this from a general mainstream perspective. What does the mainstream want? The mainstream wants to get as much ROI as possible. Now, how likely is it that you're going to see 100x in Bitcoin? It's probably not so likely that it's going to happen. It can happen, but it's very it's extremely not likely because the mainstream's already in. The big hype has already been here. Yes, it can go up, but 100x, really? I mean, yeah, maybe, but it's like you get this group of people that like come in, uh, and it kind of reminds me a little bit about YouTube, where first the original people do cool stuff on YouTube, and then they move on to other stuff, and then the people that sort of take over the brand is like people that perhaps know less about the industry, and mainly they just maybe like hyping up a book that they're selling, or maybe they are starting a new brand and sort of wants to just want to use the Bitcoin name as a brand. So let's look at this. Okay, so if nobody outside of Bitcoin matters, but a lot of people outside of Bitcoin made way more money. EUS, they in their sort of ICO, they raised billions of dollars and now sit on hundreds, I think around 140,000 Bitcoin. So okay, so they don't matter, but they raised they raised billions of dollars basically, maybe even more than Satoshi did ever. So it's like okay, and then it's like okay. So in a way, it seems like he's sort of trying to say that oh, altcoins they don't matter at all. Okay, so let's look at BNB. BNB launched an ICO, Binance Coin. It cost 10 cents 2017, and it had a high in 2019 of around $40, I think. That's around, I think, 450x in price. 450x in price in 2 years. So clearly these people are not that intelligent, right? So, I mean, what I'm trying to point out here is that there are there are many smart people outside of the Bitcoin space as well. And to think that everything is going to go into Bitcoin and that everything else will fail, and people like want to pump their own bags, right? And then they want to play this maximalism game, even if they get confronted with, wait a sec, all these other people made way more money, and you look at it also from the Bitcoin sort of perspective of well, the stakers are not really getting anything. On the Steam blockchain, for example, if you're staking, you're getting curation rewards. You're getting rewards from the reward pool, basically. So you have incentive to stake. What is the incentive to sort of just hold the Bitcoin? Then you are just thinking that the mainstream is just going to come in and just going to pump your bags. But how can Bitcoin how can they onboard millions of users, and who is going to pay for that? Because it mainly seems like the only people that are sort of advertising Bitcoin is centralized exchanges that has massive fees. So I'm trying to understand like how, so people like the easy path, like, oh, we um uh, people want something super easy, and then they don't want to think anymore. So, for example, if anything better than Bitcoin sort of comes out, and if anything that with more usability comes out, then they do not want to hear that. So it's kind of strange. I mean, you have to look at it from a reality-based perspective. Is Santa Claus just gonna come up and like pump your bags? It's like, uh, probably not, right? Probably not. Even though it still can happen, but it's like this idea that, I mean, look at it from the like like this text again. Bitcoin maximalism isn't a philosophy; it's a recognition of reality. What kind of reality? So, if you want to look at the most popular cryptocurrency at the moment, it's Tether. Like, it's not even Bitcoin. And if so, that can be a certain reality. So you're just looking at it where, okay, so what crypto is the most popular? Okay, right now it's Tether. That's reality. What kind of cryptos are making the most ROI? It mainly has been altcoins the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah, Ethereum, for example. I think Ethereum made a 4000x, and then we have the BNB 400x, and I think EOS made maybe a 40x. But many of these altcoins have, if you talk about money, they have outdone Bitcoin in profit. So what kind of reality are we talking about here? And even if we want to look at it from a reality-based perspective, okay, you can say maybe the one thing you can liquidity, Bitcoin wins that, but do most people really need massive liquidity? Like the average, like mainstream user, do they really need a lot of liquidity? Are they going to move hundred millions of dollars of Bitcoin back and forth? Probably not. So it's like, and I try to consider it like, okay, so how is Bitcoin then going to onboard like millions of users? I mean, this is also a recognition of reality. It's like, how? Because that's what kind of the US guys is sort of looking a little bit more into, and and they're looking at more about it from a scale perspective, and Ethereum also is sort of doing that. And Ethereum have, I think, around thousands of developers. At least they have thousands of people that are sort of interested in that ecosystem. So it's like we probably should look at this in a more humble terms, that something that came out in 2008 or 2009, sure, it's cool, but this idea that nothing else ever will come out that is like better or more superior, it isn't that a little bit delusional? Because we're gonna have artificial intelligence that thinks a million times better than a human. I mean, aren't they gonna come up with something better than what a human being came up with in their head? I mean, it kind of seems like the artificial intelligence are gonna come up with way more intelligent systems eventually. So yeah, it's kind of you have to understand that these CEOs, like, it's good branding for them to say something like only Bitcoin, but you should also look at it from the whole market side perspective, where now the whole mainstream media, they're moving more towards talking about blockchain. So they're not even talking that much about Bitcoin. They only do it when you have these massive price pumps. But if Bitcoin don't get more price pumps because people have other coins, other systems to onboard them easier, then why would they need the Bitcoin? It's like maybe they go to the Steam blockchain and earn some Steam tokens, and they're earning the tokens actually. Like, how are they going to earn the Bitcoin? They only have to buy the Bitcoin and hope for someone else to pump the price. But is that really going to happen? when people when people get another token that's easier, it's like it's more inclusive. Those other tokens may be more inclusive, and many of those new tokens that's going to come out with better business models, peer-reviewed systems. I mean, clearly they have more potential to make more ROI because many of those coins they're starting from zero, so they can pump way easier because they have less mass. The more mass some coin have, the harder it is to sort of massively pump the price. So, it's like that's more the reality sort of that I'm seeing, and that also Bitcoin in many ways plays. I still like Bitcoin, but it's like if we're looking at reality, it's like yeah, and also that a lot of that mentality, this like digital gold mentality, a lot of it is like based on scarcity in a way. It's like, okay, when we can print value, like we can print abundance, we don't have to still think in this like scarcity perspective in many ways. Like that there is has to be like massive competition. No, it's like we can give people tokens. Like it's really fine. We don't have to like massively be scared and like hoard, and it's like but it's interesting to talk a little bit about. So I like Bitcoin, I like blockchain, I like alts. I just want to have like an open view on this, and it's kind of strange for me to see this like maximalism kind of perspective when it doesn't really seems to be that based in reality, to be honest. So yeah, have an awesome day, D2.